I'm Nicola from Pro Extra, and we're really looking forward to joining you in a couple of weeks on the live webinar to look at how you can plan and execute your trade show brilliantly. But ahead of that, we're just going to spend a little bit of time today talking about a couple of key topics in the planning area that you can get started on already. So I'm going to take the next 5 minutes talking to you about SMART objectives, and then I'll be back later on to talk about lead capture. So it's fantastic that you have invested in your industry trade show, and doing it in conjunction with the Energy Industries Council will definitely help you get noticed and drive some exposure during the show. But actually being part of that pavilion isn't enough to get you noticed by the customers that you really want to engage with. So what we're going to talk about over the next couple of sessions is really helping you get ready for the show, but get ready for you to stand out as part of a bigger group as part of that pavilion. So SMART objectives, let's start at the very beginning. Why are they even important? SMART objectives can really help you in a number of ways. One of the biggest criticisms that we regularly hear about trade shows and exhibitions is that they're just really unmeasurable and you can't really generate any return, or you certainly can't measure any return that you get from a trade show. And actually that's true if you don't know what you're trying to measure in the first place, if you don't know what success looks like. So only by setting some of those measurements early on and thinking about what are we trying to get out of this show, will you be able at the end of the process to demonstrate whether your investment has actually delivered that. So that's the first reason why SMART objectives are really important. The second thing is everybody has an opinion on trade shows, and you will have a whole host of decisions that you've got to make over the next few months that many of your colleagues and stakeholders may or may not agree with. But if you've got a series of SMART objectives that you've all agreed on, hopefully you can anchor every decision that you make back into those SMART objectives and ensure that it's leading you to the right conversations with visitors. And it can help smooth out some of those difficult conversations about why you've designed your stand in a certain way or the number of people that you've asked to be part of your squad. So 2 reasons, just as a reminder, to why SMART objectives are really, really important. 1, to help you anchor all the decisions you're going to have to make, and 2, to enable you to measure the success you've had. I'm sure most people are familiar with the acronym SMART, but just in case, we'll do a quick recap. S being specific, M being measurable, A being achievable, R being realistic, and T being timely. So that's what we're trying to achieve with objectives. But it's really not easy. So how do you start? The best thing to do is start with a really big macro idea. So the reason you're going to the trade show in the first place. And that might be about launching an existing product into a completely new market. It might be launching a new product into an existing market, or it might be about new product, new market. It could actually just be about building brand awareness and being part of the industry conversation. And on a macro level, all of those are great reasons for going to your industry trade show. But actually, how do you measure any of those sorts of things? So the next step from that macro idea is to pull it down into some specific and measurable numbers that you can actually put some real objectives against. So it could be things like we're wanting to meet 50 buyers during the day that we can present a new product to. Or it might be we want to get an interview with 2 or 3 of the top trade titles, top trade magazines within our industry. Or it could be we just want to get on the seminar programme, we want to do a keynote speech. And they're all really realistic and measurable objectives. So often we hear from exhibitors, we just want to meet everybody who comes through the door at this trade show. And it's an admirable objective, no doubt, but if you've got 10,000, 50,000, 150,000 visitors coming through the door, and you want to meet all of them, and they all want to buy from you, can you imagine the size of the sales force that you would need to actually service that afterwards? So the realistic part of that is about what's the number that's right for us to be able to service and keep our promises after the event. So taking, for example, the presenting to 50 buyers a new product that we want to sell to them during the course of the show. What that can help you do then is think about, okay, so we want to present to 50 people a day. We know over the 12 months we can probably convert 50% of those 50 to buy a product from us. And you know the cost of that product. You can then start to put some numbers against what you're anticipating getting back from the show. You've got a revenue idea for the next 12 months. It'll also help guide you around things like how many people do we need on the stand? How many conversations do we need to have to even get to those 50 people who could be interested in our product in the first place? So making it that specific will definitely help you with all the other decisions and the plans that you're making and give you a number to measure at the end of it. As I've said, setting SMART objectives aren't easy. It is difficult to be able to get it down to those really specific numbers, but they will help you with a lot of things going forward if you can just spend the time getting to why are we going to this and why are we investing in this show. And as I say, being on a pavilion, as you will be with the Energy Industries Council, is fantastic because it gives you that exposure, it gives you some credibility, and it's great to be part of that portfolio. But that doesn't mean that you can't set SMART objectives of your own. You have to be there standing in your own right, knowing what solutions you solve for visitors and how you're going to address those in conversations to be able to make yourself stand out from everybody else who's going to be on the pavilion. So just as a quick recap, SMART objectives, really useful for two things. One, to be able to measure your success, and two, to be able to anchor your decisions. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And if you start with your big macro idea and then try and keep filtering it down to get to as clear and specific an objective as you can, it'll really help with your show. And probably 3 to 4 objectives per show is plenty to be asking your team to go and deliver. So hopefully that helps you think a little bit differently about SMART objectives and helps you realise how important they can be to the success of your overall show. We'll be back shortly to talk to you about lead capture and why that's equally as important in the planning stage.